Shalom. Call all Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations to all you brothers out there pushing the truth and sincerity. Just got a lesson here on the curses in Deuteronomy. The reason I'm making this video on the curses is because I got into a pretty heated argument with my dad. You know, he basically was asking me what the lowdown was and what I believe. Well, firstly, you know, this doctrine was taught and handed down by the elders of Great Millstone. That's GMS. So if you haven't heard of the elders, I highly suggest that you stop this video and look for GMS Main Camp or GMS New York, or even GMS Elders. I'm sure you'll find some videos and edifying material. Truly, there's GMS camps all over the country in America, and there's GMS camps all over the world. So there's plenty of sources that you can choose from to educate yourself on the true breakdowns of the Bible, the 1611 Bible, that is. Okay, well, anyways, like I mentioned, my dad and myself were getting into a pretty heated discussion as to why I believe that the Lord has a chosen people. And it ended pretty harshly, but the Spirit put it on me to do this, to edify on this the best that I can. So we're going to read this whole chapter. I'm sure brothers have read this before, and if not, something that you can check out on your own, but we'll just run through this real quick. Hopefully you have enough storage to grab some precepts and go from there. So Deuteronomy 28:1 says, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day," meaning even still today, even though that Yahushai, who the world calls Jesus Christ, has already lived on this earth and suffered the painful and excruciating death that he had to endure and suffer, that we're still under these laws and these commandments that we're about to read. All right, so it's important that we educate ourselves in the expectations of what the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, has for us as Israelite men and Israelite women and even Israelite children. Okay. That the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. So right there, the Lord is saying that he's going to set Israel, or has set Israel basically, above all other nations. Okay, the Lord didn't make the other nations just to be cannon fodder. Okay, the other nations are under the nation of Israel. The designation of Israel is to lead the world through the Most High Power, who the world calls God and Jesus Christ, being Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay, the other nations have a purpose, all right, but nonetheless, they are underneath. They are not equal to Israelite men and Israelite women. Okay, Israelites being so-called Negroes, Native Americans, and Latinos. And then you have your strangers that do not have the complexion or look of the races that I just mentioned, but they do, however, have the blood of an Israelite. Okay, going back to the nation of Israel from a male. Okay, and that's where my dad was getting caught up. You know what I'm saying? We use, in Great Millstone, we use color as like a base point to identify and give people a general idea who's who. Okay, but as soon as somebody says that the Bible is dealing with color, or mentions something about color in relation to the Bible, people refuse to listen to anything else you have to say. It doesn't matter how many scriptures you grab. It doesn't matter what you do or what you say. They shut down. Okay, but we're going to let the scriptures speak for themselves, because it is clear that the Most High is dealing with only Israel. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice thy God. And this is a personal testimony, you know, thou, it's not saying everyone, you know, and the Bible has been translated through multiple languages and so on. But we have to understand that the Most High has left us with a genuine instruction on what we need to be doing. And if you don't have faith in that, if you don't have belief that there is a end all be all for us in America and all around the world, then you're not a spiritual person. You're not a person that the Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is dealing with on a personal level, you know, whether that be for good or for bad. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kin, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. All right, so why would everybody in this God's green earth be you know, selected via the scriptures to be something that the Most High is dealing with, when the Most High just said that the Israelite people as a nation have enemies? You know, who is the enemy? Who is the antagonist to the storyline? Okay, that clearly immediately contradicts the theory that the Christian and Catholic Church supports regarding everyone being blessed and saved by God. Okay, and this is also pertaining to the Israelites as a whole nation, that the Most High has expectations of us to listen to what he asks of us. I mentioned in my previous video on predestination, life and death, that it's already been written. So regardless of how you feel or how or what you want, this belief and this end is not for us to determine. It has already been predetermined, and we know that based on the scriptures. Okay, it says in Ecclesiastes, I believe the 13th chapter, that there is nothing new under the sun. All right, we've lived many lives before this in the spirit. Okay, we may not have been the same people in complexion or visual appearance, but we were the same spiritually. We've lived those lives before. All right. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up. We got that. The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses, and in all that thou settest thine hand unto, and he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. The Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself. Let's look at that again. The Lord, okay, Lord in all caps being God himself, also known as Yahweh, okay, his true name being Yahweh, shall establish thee an holy people unto himself. All right, that's exclusive to the nation of Israel. All right. As he hath sworn unto me, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his ways, and all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and that or Salak, and they shall be afraid of thee. So that's self-explanatory. All right. Like I mentioned, we are above these other nations. We are not equal. Men are not created equal. Okay. And that's exactly why you look at professional sports. Brothers always use this example. Or you look at anything, really. It doesn't even have to be physicality that Israelites are superior to other nations at. Intellectually, Israelites are superior to other nations as well. Okay? You know, at this point in America and around the world, a lot of Israelites are still suffering from the effects of slavery and from genocide and from mental brainwashing. Okay? That we are incapable of regrouping as a nation. We're being oppressed and suppressed from our true power right now. And that's something that we'll get into later in this chapter. But, you know, like I'm getting into here, that's the point, man. Not only is this explaining that the Lord has a certain particular people that he is communicating with, but he's also saying that these other nations are below us. All right, we have an obligation to do the best we can to live the best we can, following his law, statutes, and commandments. And and the Lord shall make thee plenteous in food, or in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers to give to thee. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day, to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So here's the part where we're seeing the consequences for Israelites disobeying the law, statutes, and commandments. And it's important to pay attention to this part, because this is how you know, in a nutshell, this among other things, who the Lord is dealing with. When the men of GMS, the elder apostles, and down say that the Israelites are so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and people wonder where we get that from, this is one of those bread and butter scriptures that does not or cannot be argued with regarding the identity of the Israelites. All right. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kin, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. Okay, it's important not only to notice the curses that I just mentioned, are curses of Israelites not being able to establish a foundation in terms of like running their own businesses, or for example, the African American community, so-called, being unable to overcome the poverty of the ghetto that they, purposely place us in. And by they, I mean Esau, Edom, or otherwise known as so-called Caucasians that we see today. Now let's read that last part of that scripture again, because I said they, and that's what the Lord just said. It says, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. And that's the ruthlessness of these demons, man. They literally have no mercy towards Israel, man.